Hello, and welcome back to Pics and Portraits. Ho ho ho, 'tis the season for festive retrofuturism. That is what we are going to be looking at today. Futuristic depictions of Christmas from the past. Now, this is by no means exhaustive. I have found a selection of media that showcases the future of the holiday, literally spanning centuries. As a reminder, though, we are not treating these as explicit predictions, but rather just depictions from the past of the future. We are also going to try to keep this chronological, so we can see how the aesthetics of the holiday changed and how this affected the features seen from these periods. Let's start in the late 19th century with the big guy, St. Nick, Kris Kringle, Father Christmas, Santa Claus. Every year on Christmas Eve, Santa travels the world, delivering gifts to good children, or coal to the naughty ones. He does so by traveling in a sleigh, pulled by flying reindeer. I'm assuming most of you know that already. You never know, though. Around the turn of the 20th century, aviation was all the rage, and Santa's sleigh was reimagined as various flying machines. This illustration here was featured in the Carbondale Press in December 1900. It depicts Santa in a flapping winged flying machine with the caption, "The 20th Century Santa Claus." This is a few years before the Wright brothers' flight, which actually took place a week or so before Christmas, 1903. But again, this was a period of aviation innovation or experimentation. Also projection, flapping wings. This was a common design for potential aircraft, as we are seeing here in this Victorian-era postcard looking ahead to France in the year 2000, an aerocab station, which looks wild. I can't imagine. Jumping ahead a few decades, we have this bold prediction from the Modern Boy magazine from 1937. With television still in its infancy, I'm sure the possibilities of the new medium seemed endless. It was even believed that in the future, you would be able to choose your Christmas presents via television. The design here seems to have some sort of microphone to speak, perhaps directly with a televised pitchman. This, of course, did come true with the Home Shopping Network, or even simply infomercials, and has since been taken even further with online retailers, Amazon, etc. Into the 1940s, the Second World War. Our Christmas special, actually a couple years ago, covered Yuletide war propaganda. I couldn't find a whole lot from this period, but I did track down a few examples. Posters claiming war bonds give the gift of a future. Not really explicit example of retrofuturism, but during this time, 1943, I'm sure the promise of any future at all was good enough. Moving to the 1950s and 60s, the look of Christmas changed aesthetically, thanks to the widespread use of decorations in Christmas trees made of aluminum, which at one point was considered to be the metal of the future. I love this Christmas. I love mid-century aesthetics. This was the space age, which was reflected in how Santa and Christmas in the future was imagined. Given the new technology available, Santa would swap his sleigh for a spaceship during this period, as seen in this cover here from Dell Comics in 1959. I also tracked down this cover, I believe, for some sort of giveaway from the department store Grants. Feel free to correct me on that. Science fiction magazine Galaxy also had a bunch of great festive covers, starting in 1951 with this wild space soiree. Again, not the most explicit prediction, but these aesthetics are just too great not to include. Canonically, Galaxy Santa has 4 arms. Guess he's an alien. Sometimes his reindeer appear with their own space helmets as well. These were all illustrated by Edmund M. Swiller, who also illustrated this cover for the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction in 1960. Breaking away from the illustrated world, here we are seeing some great footage of Santa in a rocket. Doing a bit of research, I learned that these were built in the 1960s and 70s by the Santa Claus Rocket Corporation out of Tyler, Texas. They would be featured in parades or make special appearances around the holidays, staffed with a Santa, pilots, and even a hostess. There was apparently a few different models. There was a Santa's space sleigh, Santa's rocket sleigh, and Santa's rocket ship. I wish more footage of these existed because the designs are great, but this is it. This is all there is, unfortunately. I know many of you are fans of Soviet futurism, judging by the reactions we get when we post that kind of stuff, and so we have here this great selection of festive postcards featuring a good mix of Christmas and space travel. There is some incredible detail here. Most of these, of course, can be classified as propaganda, and aesthetically they resemble some of the propaganda even that we've looked at before. I feel like it is worth mentioning that Christmas kind of takes a backseat, or at least took a backseat, to New Year's Day during the time of the Soviet Union. This was on account of their state policy of atheism. Even though religious holidays were abolished in 1929, a lot of the more secular things associated with Christmas, like the tree, Santa, just got moved to New Year's. I managed to track down this short, appropriately titled New Year's Eve, that shows the traditions that we in the West usually associate with Christmas, just taking place on New Year's. I chose to include it because it features this rocket flying through space and assisting Santa on his journey. Pretty wild stuff for 1948. A couple months ago, we looked at British retrofuturism, which was pretty heavy on the puppetry of Jerry and Sylvia Anderson. We looked at a bunch of their shows, including Thunderbirds, which is probably their most popular. In 1966, Thunderbirds aired their Christmas episode, Give or Take a Million. This brought the holiday season to Tracy Island, with a plot revolving around a Christmas rocket, which is loaded with presents. No real predictions here, or anything really out of the ordinary, but there is a continuity error, a shot of a calendar, setting the show in December 2026, rather than the established 2065. Keeping on the subject of British retrofuturism, we have an adaptation of the Charles Dickens classic, A Christmas Carol, which is one of my favorite stories. Even without the holiday, I think it has an excellent message, transcending time and showing us our influence on the world, and that it is never too late to be a better person. For those somehow unfamiliar with the story, Ebenezer Scrooge, an old miser, is visited on Christmas Eve by three ghosts who show him the effect he has on the past and the present, as well as his possible future. Because he is old, the future never jumps too far ahead. He dies alone. No one cares. But Blackadder's Christmas Carol from 1988 goes all in on a speculative tomorrow. This casts a Blackadder in the Scrooge role and hits the same story beats. He is visited by the ghosts, but the Ghost of Christmas Future shows him a far distant Flash Gordon-like future. Here, he is Grand Admiral, returning from a mission with some kind of futuristic weapon that allows him to destroy his superiors and ensure his bloodline will rule the future, which, for those unfamiliar, in contrast to the rest of the series, where the Blackadder is generally a loser. It's not my favorite Christmas Carol adaptation, that's Mickey's, but it is a fun take on the classic. The last thing we're going to be looking at is Lil Nas X's Holiday. This music video was released last year, 2020, and depicts the future of 2220, where Nas has become Santa Claus. It brings us to the North Pole, a toy factory staffed with robot elves. One of them is playing a PS5, which good luck finding one even this year. Who knows, maybe you'll get lucky and be able to find one by 2220. Not many predictions here, but there is plenty of product placement. Sony with the PS5, and also Jeep, which is in line with our times. Flashback to the 60s with this great rocket sleigh, pulled by robot reindeer. I love this. An origin story / trailer was produced for the music video, known as The Origins of Holiday, where we see Nas in the Wild West. He discovers Santa Claus, dead, becoming in the process the new Santa Claus, just like that Tim Allen movie, with a different rocket sleigh. Now, this may just be a trailer, but it is pretty notable, as it features a very rare appearance by Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly, warning Nas not to go to 2020. A nice friendly reminder of just how awful last year was. Honorable mentions go out to Futurama and their Holiday of the Future Xmas, where Santa is a killer robot who murders anyone caught out on Christmas Eve, as well as The Simpsons Holidays of Future Past, a great post-season 10 episode that I love. We've discussed both of those in other videos, so be sure to watch them if you haven't. And yeah, that just about wraps it up for today. Let me know what I missed. We will be having some holiday hypnagogia over on Sleepcore, as well as some non-holiday videos going up in the next few weeks. But if you are hankering for some more festive content, check out some of our older holiday specials. We've looked at the relationship between Japanese wartime propaganda and Rudolph, as well as how 90s cartoons celebrated the holidays, a bunch of other great stuff as well. I will post a playlist here to all of our Christmas-themed content. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and if you have the means, please consider becoming a patron and making my holiday merry and bright. In return, you get access to a ton of exclusive content. I'm hoping to cover another Christmas feature, Terry Gilliam's Brazil, over on Future Film. $5 a month gets you access to that, and your support also helps keep these videos coming out regularly. That's patreon.com/pixandportraits. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, and I'll see you in the future.